Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And the first thing that we have on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the Thursday, December 16th meeting.
In the absence of any amendments or corrections, I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Before we go on, I'd like to welcome our newest member of our committee, Anita Duber. And
Thank you.
Welcome to our group.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any public comment?
Yes, we have Jan Siebert-Warman who asked to speak during public comment.
Okay.
I believe I saw her number on there. Jan, can you hear us? You're muted right now.
Hi, can you hear me?
There we
Yes.
go. We can
Yes,
hear
Jan.
you loud and clear.
Great. Hi, I'm Jan Siebert-Warman for the Cannon Beach Friends of the Trees, care of P.O. Box 778 in Cannon Beach. Dear Cannon Beach Parks and Community Services Committee members, thank you all once again for the important work you've done and are doing for our community. We are especially grateful for the progress you're making on developing the Cannon Beach Heritage Trees Program recommendations for the City Council. With the support expressed by the Cannon Beach Garden Club, Planning Commission, our City Council, and numerous Cannon Beach residents, we believe this program will be a wonderful addition to the beauty and health of our town. Once again, we'd like to offer you our assistance at any time in helping with the Cannon Beach Heritage Trees Program. And we'd also like to share our time, energy, and a list of possible ideas for the 12 Days of Earth Day 2022 celebration, if you'd like, whenever it is best for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Any other public comment?
There was no other request to speak and no other written public comments submitted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to elect a chair and a vice chair for the committee for 2022.
I would like to nominate you, Barb, as chair.
Oh.
You accept?
Is there a second?
Everybody on Zoom, I think you're all muted right now if anybody's trying to say anything.
I second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to elect myself as chair of the committee. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anita, I think you're muted.
Bob.
And Bob? Bob and Anita, can you unmute yourselves, please?
Something muted me. Yeah, yes, aye.
And Anita? You're still muted.
She said aye. Don't like that.
You take a. Can you take a raised hand as a?
I think she's expressing her sense.
Okay. Okay, so I will be the chair, and next we need to elect a vice chair.
I nominate Stacy as vice chair.
I second that.
Okay, any discussion? Stacy, are you willing? Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. Okay, next we have the monthly State of the Parks reports, and we're going to have two presenters for this. First will be Kirk, and then our city manager, Bruce St. Dennis. Kirk?
Happy New Year. I was gone for a few weeks over the holidays, got stuck in the East Coast, so my report is limited. While I was gone, Joe and her helpers took down all the Christmas or holiday decor around town that we're responsible for. As you are aware, the Whale Park blew up when we were since the last meeting, and we're meeting with our concrete contractor tomorrow to make a plan to reinstall the stairs and the sidewalk and the pad up on top. And also our excavating contractor, Troy Thorson, is going to be there. He has to work with Daryl to do the dig out. And we're going to talk about improving the access to the beach from Whale Park, which is an ADA suggestion, I think, or recommendation. We're going to see what we can do about that. Trevor informs me that some pickleball players aren't that thrilled with the new pickleball stripes. The color is very unobtrusive, which was really cool, but I guess it's too unobtrusive. So we may repaint the pickleball stripes and also go ahead and purchase nets. So pickleball will be up and running this summer, I'm sure. There was an article about a desire to have more courts in Gerhardt. Maybe you saw that. And so we're in the mix, I guess. We're also planning to install a really small, I guess you'd call it pocket park on Laurel Street by the Waves Hotel. It would be north off of 2nd. There's a spot there the city owns where we like to put in a bench and there's already a trash receptacle there. There's a little green patch. Again, we'll meet with our concrete contractor tomorrow because we need to dig out that and put in a pad and put in a bench. That's in the works. As far as what we've been up to, the wintertime landscape maintenance right now, it's involving a lot of edging and scraping and cleaning up the parking lots and edging sidewalks, especially over on 5th Street. It's a 5-foot sidewalk. It's down to about 3 feet. Now it's back to 5. I'm not done yet, but getting there. And we top dress the Whale planting beds with 3 yards of new topsoil. And that's about all I got going.
I've got a question or comment about the pickleball courts, and that is I was walking past the tennis court along Spruce and noticed there's a sign there that says these courts are for tennis only. And it seemed like maybe that if you're revising the signs, you might change that to indicate that the one over along 2nd Street is for pickleball or both. I don't remember which, but somebody encountering that just as a newcomer might think we didn't have any pickleball accommodation.
Yeah, those signs go back about over 20 years, and it's probably not a bad idea to look at them again.
Thanks, Bob. Can I say something?
Sure, Trevor.
So some of our beach access has got damaged during recent tidal events. So I'm in the process of working with state parks to come up with some solutions to pretty much put Band-Aids on it for now until the tides recede, and then do more of a permanent fix at some of our locations for the summer.
Okay, great. So does anybody else have questions of Kirk or Trevor? Okay, Bruce?
These guys got all the good spots, so I'll just come up here. The record, Bruce St. Dennis, city manager, and want to talk about the Canaan Beach Elementary project, which we would like to see you folks get involved with. We had a meeting last night where council talked about they talked with the bond council and with our financial advisor about the financing. Looks like we are moving forward with the financing decision on February 1st. In 10 to 12 weeks, we should have the funding. in the bank to be able to go ahead and start. We had the go-ahead, our staff had to go ahead to hire, to start the hiring process for an architect engineer for the project. We had a really good pre-bid conference. It was a mandatory pre-bid conference. And it went very well. And I started the proceedings by saying, this is probably the coolest project you'll ever work on in your career. Not the one's going to make you the most money or make you famous, but it's the one that you're going to want to bring your friends to. And I think that that kind of carried through with folks because there was a lot of good questions and things like that. So we will receive the proposals on the 9th of February. And then we will meet on the 10th. We have a selection committee already. We will meet on the 10th and the 14th to try to go ahead and decide who we want to interview. And then we go to, let me see, we will announce, I think on March 1st, what our recommendation will be. There's 7-day protest period, and then we will go to council, I think, on March 15th and make our recommendation on who the architect will be. We have told them, I told them in no uncertain terms, the most important thing that they're going to have to do is to understand the community and understand the project. I even told them that there will be a test, and that is that they will go in front of council after they've gone through their process of trying to garner information. And then they have to say what this project is about. And if council agrees and says, yes, you got it, then they can start schematic design. But if they don't have it, then they kind of go back. But they have to be able to go ahead and say, this is what we think y'all want, so that we don't start going down the wrong road. There's going to be, we are funded adequately to be able to do some cool things. It's not going to be a bare bones project. We are working on the buildings now. We've already redone the roof for the classrooms. We will be putting out bids for the asbestos removal and the roof for the gym. We want to go ahead and those are engineering type issues. We want to get those done before the architect. We want to do that because if we wait for the architect and have them start those projects, we'll go through another rainy season in the gym. So we want to go ahead and move on both of those. And so there's a lot of really good news. The council has indicated that they will probably be looking at some sort of a committee or I forgot what the word was, but essentially some folks that have interests to provide guidance. And I would like to ask that you folks, when we get to that point, that you think of somebody to put on. I think that would be, a great addition to it. And I think that's it, but it's a really good, positive thing that we're talking about to start building that gathering place. And as it's the loan repayment as it's structured now, because it's also going to be a tourism related facility that we are able to use the TLT or the tourism lodging tax dollars that we receive from the county. And that should be able to pay the debt service on the loan. So this should not cost anything to the citizens. Possibly would get into operations, it might, but we should be able to go ahead and cover that cost easily with the TLT funds. And also want to clarify that those TLT funds cannot be used for anything else. They can't be used for water lines, roads, anything like that. They can only be used to promote tourism or tourism related facilities. And so there's no place else that those funds could go unless other than promotion. And I think that we kind of feel we've got about all the people we can handle now. So but anyway, I think it's really cool. And we will also have someone from the food bank. And we've made the decision that the food bank stays. And in fact, we are going to do a separate project because the food bank wouldn't qualify for the TLT funds. So staff is proposing a project in the upcoming budget to do maybe 1 or 2 repairs or 100 to the building, because it's an important part to the community. And really, with what we're trying to create there, is probably the most significant thing that's going on before and after, once we complete the project, to say this is what we're about.
Great. Thank you. Anybody have any questions of Bruce? Okay, great. Thanks.
Seem like the council. Never have questions. I thank you. No, thank you.
Thanks.
We're excited.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the right-of-way tree removals, and thankfully we had none in our packet. But that was a refreshing thing to see. And then next we have the community grants for this fiscal year. So in your packet, you had what we're hoping to be close to the final edition of the packet. Does anybody have any substantive edits to the packet?
I've got some kind of low-level ones, and I'm not sure whether if you want to constrain the amount of discussion, I can just submit notes later.
How many do you have roughly?
3 or 4, 5.
Okay, go quick.
Okay. On page 2, do we want to point out that people can have attached sheets? There's another, I think it's for the evaluation. It mentions that, but I think clearly we want to let them know they don't have to fit things into the spaces. So has anybody ever been confused about that?
On page 2 of the application,
Yeah, up near the top.
thank you for interest in the city of Cannon Beach's community grants at the top of that
Yeah.
page.
Yes. Yeah, just in telling them, you got to fill this out. Tell them they can use extra sheets.
It actually says that after that first paragraph, it says, please type or print, use additional sheets as necessary.
I apologize. Okay,
Okay, next.
that's exactly where it should say it. Yes. What was that about? Okay. None of this is worth worrying about. Go, move ahead. Oh, no, there is one on the very last, on the notice. I haven't looked in, but we've got about 2/3 of the way down. We're by using the city's file share system on its website and sending to an email address. I haven't used that or realized that I was using it. It looks as though somebody might then send their applications just by email to that email address, which they're directed not to. Has that ever proved to be a source of confusion?
So the community grant applications are usually fairly large files, so it's oftentimes something that's too big to be emailed. So what this website has is a file share system. And basically you can send a large file and you direct it to a specific email address, in which case this is mine. And I get a notice that I can download that file from the file share system. Most people drop off their applications in person. I did have somebody call last year and ask how to use the file share system. I walked them through it over the phone, got the email notification from them 30 seconds later. So if any applicants are confused about that, I'd be happy to walk them through it.
Sounds like it's not a problem.
Prefer to.
Thank you.
Is that it, Bob?
That's it. That's
Okay.
enough. Yeah.
Any other committee members have any recommendations? Okay, so I guess it's ready to go with as is. Okay,
Great.
good. Thank you, Kelsey, for all of your work on this. And I look forward to see whether or not the changes, hopefully they all make a difference. So thank you.
Yeah, I've already had a few people express interest in the applications and told them to mark February 18th on their calendar. And so we've already got some good interest in the program again.
Good. Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Heritage Trees Program. I thought it would be important in this meeting for us to reach some consensus as to how many trees we're thinking about for the first year, and also discuss the need to perhaps have the city arborist attend the next meeting to give us an idea of how that person would review possible entries. Trevor?
Just to let you guys know, the city arborist will not be available for next month's meeting.
Okay,
It'll have to come at a later date, but I can find out when he'll be ready to
okay.
come to a meeting.
And does everybody agree that that's something that we need to do before we move forward in terms of establishing the program?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, if you could try to get them to our March meeting.
Yeah, I'll find out.
Okay, thank you. So we've had quite a bit of discussion about how many, the fact that our first year especially, we want to try to keep it as simple as possible to make sure we've established a good program. My recollection is that we were going to try to start with 2 trees to go through the process. Is that what everyone else remembers?
Yes.
Okay. And so then I'm not sure there's anything else we need to do at this point, because I think we need to have
Yes, and
input.
here our had some really good ideas, and I'd really like for him to be able to discuss those ideas with you guys.
Great. And just so Jan knows, we do know that the Friends of the Trees would like to be involved in the process, and we're kind of taking it slow because we want to do it right. I think it's an important program to make sure that have everything in place before we launch it. So anybody else have anything to say about the Heritage Tree Program?
I'd like,
Say,
Pardon me?
Barb, this is Les Sinclair.
Hey, welcome.
First of all, I apologize for being late. Is it the intent that if we were to get more than 2 applications, they would be held over for the next year? I assume it would.
No, when I say 2 trees, it's not 2 applications, but 2 granting of we could have lots of applications.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, and we're not disagreeing, but if more than 2 trees are nominated, but we only select 2, what happens to the other nominations if there are additional?
Well, that's something that we need to discuss. My initial thought is that those would be carried over. And when we're ready to start the next year's process, we would check with those people and make sure they were still interested in.
Okay, that's my thought as well.
Okay. Anybody else have any input on that? Okay, so then we'll go ahead and attempt to get the city arborist here in at the March meeting. And anything else?
No.
Okay. Okay, so then the next item on the agenda is the Cola Creek Forest Reserve update. And I think we're still looking to have to schedule a field trip with Barry Sims, and kind of waiting for people to get back. Bruce, did you have something you?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I had a discussion with Barry, and he met with, and I don't know her last name, but it was Katie from OWEB. The 2 of them did a tour. When they were doing that, they looked at all of the roads that were under consideration. And they did not find any habitat or anything with the road that was one that was questioned the most. It was rebuilding an existing road. And so, but they didn't find any barriers to that. They did look and found that there are roads that would probably or would be under consideration for decommissioning, but that they had reached a point in their evolution that probably decommissioning them would do more damage than leaving them as they were, because they kind of gone back to nature. So those are a couple of the things. Barry feels he has enough information to redo the report, to do the draft of the report. And so we would like to bring that to the March meeting. And then after the March meeting, take the committee up for the walkthrough.
Okay,
So if we can do that in March, and you should see a draft prior to the March meeting.
okay.
Okay.
So, and by that time, everybody will be back in town, correct? Les? Are your plans? And Betty, are you still gone?
Yes, I'm in Hawaii.
Okay. Aloha.
Thank you.
Do we want to push it to April? There's no rush.
What are your travel plans, Betty and Les? Are you guys going to be back by, would be after the March meeting that we would go on the trip?
I'm hoping to be back, but for sure I'll be in April.
Okay,
Yeah, Barb, this is Les, and my answer is essentially the same. We should be back in Oregon by the end of March, but I'm not sure the exact date.
okay. So it looks like maybe in April
Yeah, that works.
trip would be better. Okay, great.
All right, I'll
That
contact Barry
information.
and I'll contact Barry and make that change.
Okay. sounds
All right.
good.
All right, thank you.
Huh?
Thank you, Bruce.
Yep, thank you.
Anybody else have anything on the Ocola Creek Forest Reserve? Okay, we'll move along then. Next, we have annual projects and planning. And Trevor, you have something you'd like to say?
About the ADA ramp at Whale Park, yeah. So I'm sure you guys have all seen Whale Park is destroyed and we're gonna be putting it back together
Mhm.
once the weather gets better. So one of the projects that was outlined in our ADA report that we do every 5 years was to have an ADA accessible access point at Whale Park. And the south facing trail that exists now, we could just do some minor modifications to that trail, widen it and put the proper material down. And that would deem an improvement to the ADA accessibility over at Whale Park. So tomorrow we're going to be meeting with the concrete guy to talk about the stairs with our excavating company. And we're also going to be discussing that project. Depending on how much it is for the ADA accessible project.
Just a sec.
If we've got the money in this year's budget to do that project for the trail, the ADA trail, we're gonna try to do it this year. If not, I'll be asking to do it in next year's budget. It's a twofer. It's in our master plan and it's in the ADA accessibility report.
Love it. Yeah,
Okay.
good. Anybody have any questions on that? Everybody in agreement that that's something that's needed?
Definitely.
I'm really happy to hear this is happening.
Good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Great project.
Okay,
I have one thing to say
Sure.
about the ADA. When I was down at Ecola, the Ecola entrance, there were a couple of people sitting there with one had a wheelchair. And I walked by and I said, well, you can't go on the beach because of your wheelchair. And they said, yes. And I said, well, did you know that there's free beach access wheelchairs? And they were really excited about that. And they checked it out and they ended up getting a wheelchair and going on the beach. But I was wondering if there was a way to promote our wheelchair access capabilities to people that are already in Cannon Beach and maybe aren't web savvy.
Talking about like brochures or,
I'm not sure, or maybe even a sign that's, as they're entering the access, it'll say, do you know that you can actually get beach access wheelchairs? I don't know, something
are you
like that.
talking about the beach wheelchairs itself or the access points?
Well, both, but the wheelchairs, the beach access wheelchairs, I think are, not a lot of people know about them.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to the gentleman who's taken over the program over there at the Bahama Surf Shop.
Mhm.
And I can ask him kind of how he broadcasts information about that. I'll get back to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Trevor. Anybody else have any comments about projects and planning? Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the playground equipment discussion. Does anybody have any new items to report on that? Bruce? Why didn't you just stay up here?
When that conversation started, it was before we talked to Kirk. And Kirk, I think that you said that there was some confinement issues with the downtown kids park.
I think with all three playgrounds that the city owns, there's confinement issues.
Yeah. Okay, so we should,
I tried to put the kibosh on this. I'm not sure how
Right.
I should talk in front of everybody.
No.
We have to build new playgrounds in 5, 10, 15 years. Good time to look at how the industry and equipment has changed. Right now, the downtown playground does have 5 ADA elements to it,
Mhm.
not counting the protective surface, which is also ADA friendly.
yeah,
And I'm not sure what we can do currently, aside from perhaps change out one element like a swing. There's ADA swings you can buy, I think. So one of the 6 swings could be replaced with a big plastic ADA thing to help somebody get in and strap them in. I've seen those before. That's the only element I can think of that would be. I think it's to redesign or remodel the playgrounds is huge.
yeah. That's what I've come to realize. I think it's something that we should continue to work on.
Okay.
And I think that we've got some really good potential working with our partner, the Bahama Boards. We've been talking about adaptive surfing. They have a program down south of here. And we're looking to do possible changes to the ramp and access to the down at Tolovana. And so that is a location where we can try to go ahead and enhance what we're doing. And we're also talking about, or any opportunity we have to improve accessibility. And Trevor and Kirk were talking about what we want to try to do at Whale Park, for example.
Mhm.
So there's another opportunity for that. So I think that for this year, probably, I didn't understand the space restrictions that we had. And so probably good to hold a little bit until we can figure some other things out. But we will continue to look for opportunities to improve accessibility.
So is it safe to say we could take this off the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody in agreement with that
Yes.
for this time? Okay.
Well,
And-
so as an aside, my understanding is that our last citywide ADA audit was quite positive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very positive.
Yeah.
And he'll be back in 2025.
Mhm.
At that time, like Kirk says, the timing of the park equipment being swapped out,
Mhm.
I think we'll be discussing it more at that point. And I can discuss it with our auditor about our needs and wants for those and get an evaluation.
Okay.
And also, Kirk, as part of that report, didn't he say that Whale Park would be a good opportunity?
Correct. Whale Park is, once we do
Right.
the wheelchair accessibility point, one of the things he's outlining there would be a great spot to provide a rollout matting system to get people up through the soft sand there at Ecola Creek and onto the hard packed sand.
When I first came to work here, it was explained to me that Whale Park was one of the ADA accessible beach accesses.
Mhm.
of course, those were standards that were more than 20 years old. So because it is kind of, you can get down there, there's a little bit of dry sand, but you can get down there now, the way from Hemlock up to Whale Park and down to the beach is doable right now. Yeah, but the dry sand, it's not like there's better ways to do it now. So,
As the trail exists now, it just doesn't meet the updated standard.
right. But when I came to work, it was explained to me by management. That's one of them. And it's like, okay, but
Yeah, okay.
I think Velia might have been too, which was a joke. But anyway,
So anyway, I think it would be appropriate to take it off your list,
Okay,
but we appreciate your willingness to take a look at it.
okay, great. Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything to say about that? Okay. So next on the agenda is the 12 Days of Earth Day. I have a couple things to talk about in that. First off, remember that this is now a city event. We still don't really know how COVID is going to affect our plans, and we want to make sure that whatever we do, it's a safe event for everyone. One of the big things is always to decide when the 12 days dates are going to be. And so I took a look at the calendar, and historically we have tried to stay away from Easter because one year, many years ago, the event had Easter Sunday in there, and we had quite a bit of criticism about having events on a holy day. And so we kind of promised the community that we would stay away from that date. Then one year we had part of the 12 days was during Holy Week, and we heard some complaints about that also. So taking all those things into consideration, I would like to propose that our 12 days for 2022 run from April 8th, and we always try to have Earth Day as part of those 12 days. Propose that it be April 18th through the 29th. And so that would have Earth Day. It does have some advantages in that there's 2 weekends in there, so we would be able to have some bigger events kind of spread out a little bit. And so just wanting some input as to those dates.
So then you're thinking the street fair would be on the 23rd?
Right, yeah. And then actual Earth Day, we could probably have, if we're able to have the potlucks, we could have, the potluck on Earth Day.
On that Wednesday?
So any,
Remind me, which day did you say what's the date of Earth Day?
the 22nd,
Which is a Friday.
yeah, which is a Friday.
That looks good to me.
Yeah.
Looks good to me.
Les, do you have any comments on it?
It sounds very good to me as well. I had a different thought, but I don't really know is this the right time to share it. But I think those dates sound fine to me.
Do you want to share your different thought?
Yeah, since I said that, I guess I should. Last year, certainly because of all the uncertainty that we had around COVID and what we can do and what we can't do, the few things, Barb, that did get done, I thought there was no way to publicize them, so they weren't very, there wasn't a lot of participation. We're going to have the same uncertainty as you've already remarked. Is there any way we can try to, I don't know, do a better job of promoting the things that we are going to try to do so that we don't run into the same thing that we did last year? I think there were only a handful of people that took advantage of the recycle day. And I spoke to several people who said, well, we had stuff, we just didn't know. Anyway, just a thought.
No, I mean, I think anytime you start planning for a new event, you find better ways of promoting it. Promotion is definitely hard to do in this community without having a real community newspaper. And all I can say is we got to do a better job of promotion. That takes efforts from all of us to do. And I recognize that the last couple of years, it's been tough to promote events. When we went to, so everybody okay with those dates?
Yes.
So when we went, when it became a city event rather than just kind of a committee event, there are different responsibilities that the city attorney helped us outline the program. And so assuming that we're going to be able to plan events in our February meeting, I would like people to volunteer to accept those positions for the planning of the 12 days. And before the meeting, I'll send out that packet that has all of the 12 days duties so that you guys can all eagerly sign up for one of those positions.
Sounds good.
And I think we need to assume that things will be better in April and hope that things will be better and that we can go back to more of our traditional 12 days plans. And then one other item that I have on that is in the past, when it wasn't a city event, we had our own domain name, 12daysofearthday.com. Suzanne Kingwell Kindlin from the Ice Fire Gallery was she was one of the founding members of the 12 Days of Earth Day. She has always paid for that domain, and she's thinking now that it's a city event and that we're going to do the publicizing of it on the city's website, that it's time to say goodbye to that domain name. And I told her that we were having a committee meeting this week and that we would discuss that. So anybody have any comments about it?
I think that's appropriate. I sort of in the same way that when the farmers market switched over to being under the city's website, the farmers market CBFM or whatever it was went away.
Okay.
So I would need to check with Rusty, our IT director, but I believe there's a way to take a URL of a website and redirect it to another page. So if there was a way to keep the website address that people may be familiar with, but just have it redirect to all that information on the city's page, I think that possibly could be a good marriage of keeping that really easy to remember website address. I know ci.canaan-beach.or.us is not really easy to remember off the top of your head.
But we haven't used it for 2 years.
Okay, so it is out of date.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Yeah, I may ask Rusty what he thinks about that. If that was kind of an option you guys would be interested in, is having a easy to remember website address, but have it just redirect to a page on the city's.
And do you know what she's paying to host that?
Not sure. Yeah. But her proposal is that the city take over that
Right.
main name, and I'm thinking maybe it's time to just say goodbye to it. And it was, we couldn't get the number 12. It was always spelled out, which I think some of the old timers on the committee, wanted it to be the numerical one. Bruce?
Yeah, Barb, if there is a desire to keep that old domain name, the city can consider picking up the cost of that. I wouldn't want somebody, a private citizen to be keeping up a domain name for something that has become a city project.
Right.
So if we decide to keep it, we will look for a way to try to take that financial burden off the individual.
Okay, so if we do decide to keep it, that means that the issue why it's been dormant for 2 years is there was no volunteers that were willing to, put the schedules up and that on that site. So that's another consideration, is that we would need someone to volunteer to do that work.
But if it just linked, like if you just clicked on that and it sent you right to the city's page, then we wouldn't really have to keep up that website, right? If it was just a link.
One thing,
You know what I'm talking about?
Go ahead, Bob.
the price of continuing to control a domain name is not very much money. If you're paying somebody to maintain a site, I have the impression that it can be a lot more. I gather that it was, Suzanne probably had it piggybacked on the ice fire.
No, it was completely separate.
Oh, okay. In any event, the domain name itself doesn't cost much.
I'm saying that if you decide, this shouldn't make or break the decision, but if you decide that, hey, it might be good, as Kelsey was saying, that if somebody already goes to that, then they have to kick over here, that we wouldn't ask her to continue to pay for it. So I don't think that should drive the decision, but I'm saying that no one should get stuck with that now that it's a city function.
Okay,
So then the question is it of benefit to keep it?
right. Yeah. So everybody hears Stacy, is it a benefit to keep it, or do we just advertise our events on the city's website, which we have, I mean, as much as we've done the last couple of years, that's how we've handled it. Other comments? Betty or Anita or Les?
I'm mostly just listening this meeting.
Yeah, I understand.
Suzanne probably has an idea of back when it was flourishing, how much traffic that site got.
No, she wasn't the one that, she just paid for it. She wasn't the one that monitored it.
Who managed it?
It's been various people over the years. It hasn't been, done very consistently, just because it needed to be done by a volunteer and nobody stepped up to the plate.
Mm-hmm. I think I remember grousing about the fact that it wasn't being kept up to date, and I couldn't get that straight in the newsletter I was putting out. But yeah.
Go ahead, Les.
Oh, thank you. So either way, we need somebody to step up and help manage the 12 Days of Earth content. Is that correct? Even if we end up using the city website, that there still needs to be someone assigned to that, or does the city take over completely?
I don't think if it's controlled by the city, you guys aren't going to have access to go in there and switch things up. That'd be a Rusty question. And I'm more than happy to get it at some point, but I think you guys are meeting here soon.
But we're going to do that through our committee.
Okay. So if I need to get Rusty involved for options or ideas, I could do that, but I don't think you guys will have access if it's controlled by the city.
Right.
Okay.
So
that's the answer.
for those of you who are on your computers, I'm sharing our screen right now. This is what we currently have on the city's website. This is obviously last year's information for the 12 Days of Earth Day. You can see at the very top of the page above the City of Canaan Beach logo, the URL currently is just, a long stream of alphabet soup. So that's not going to be really easy for anybody to remember. Certainly people can use the search function on the city's website to find the 12 Days of Earth Day information. But it might be kind of nice to have just a quick, easy website URL you could put on your flyers or any information you wanted to share with the public. And then it just redirects to this page. So you can see Stacy sent a solve beach cleanup flyer that we were able to put on there. So this is currently what you guys have. And this is something that, I uploaded the flyer that Stacy sent. So yeah, this is a staff management aspect.
Trevor, just so that you know, I haven't had occasion to do it in a good while now, but I have access to update various things on the calendar for the farmers market. So it's not impossible for a responsible person who is associated with, but not an employee of the city to.
You have access to the
Well, some
calendar.
of those things.
That's
Say
very
again?
minimal. That's very minimal, the calendar updates. So anything
Yeah.
beyond that, I'm not sure. I'd have to get
Okay,
thoughts on that.
yeah,
Okay, so this less again. And that's kind of the reason for the question. If the committee, if we feel like we need, to have a robust schedule for all these events for the 12 Days of Earth, then it seems like we should maintain the 12 Days of Earth website so that we do have, free access to that. And we just put a link to that website in the city's website. If we're satisfied with what Kelsey has showed us, just preparing some kind of an attachment that could be put on a page, then I'd go that way. But it's a kind of a committee call. I'd like to have a little more control and access to it personally, but that's just my thought.
So am I hearing that you would like to take that on as part of our committee?
Sounds like.
Les,
Will serve.
what was that?
I said, if I am chosen, I will serve.
I believe you've been voluntarily.
Anyway, so that, I don't know if we kind of got to the point where I guess we've just, who's going to pay for it, since I don't think the lady that's been keeping it needs to continue to pay for it, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, I'd like to have a little bit more control over an official calendar and just put a link to it.
And our city attorney may have some thoughts on that as well, as far as it being a city event officially.
Okay,
Good
so it
enough.
sounds like it's a little more complicated than we thought. So maybe by next month's meeting, we could have some communication with the city attorney and with Rusty as to whether or not we should have a city event directed to a private website. And if we can proceed, then we have a person that has stepped up to the plate of keeping that website active, and the city has agreed to pay for the domain name. Everybody agree with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll stay tuned. So Trevor, you want to talk to Rusty? And Kelsey, can you?
So just to clarify, we want to keep the old website.
That's what we're asking about. And maybe the first person we need to talk to is the city attorney.
Yes. Keep the old website. Les is going to manage it. City pays for it. That's what you're asking.
Yeah, there's some various kind of different aspects of
Right.
this or this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Trevor, you might talk to get it sorted.
Okay, great.
Back with more information.
And thank you, Les, for accepting the responsibility if it does happen.
You're more than welcome.
Okay. Anybody else on 12 days? Okay, be thinking about what other responsibilities each committee member would like to have. And we'll assign those at the February meeting. And then the last item on the agenda is Tree City USA. I just wanted to let the committee know that the application was submitted on time. I purposely asked to have it on the agenda, so I remembered to thank the city staff for all their help in very busy time of getting me all the information. And we'll stay tuned. Hopefully soon we'll find out if we did receive our Tree City USA status. And we'll celebrate that during the 12 days. So thank you, Kelsey, and the rest of the city staff that helped.
When
With-
do you
with that
guys normally
application.
hear back about that?
Any day now.
Okay, soon.
It
I
should,
wasn't
it
sure
should,
if it was
yeah,
normally in January or if it was
yeah,
in
no,
February.
no, I keep thinking it should happen. We haven't been, they're very quick if you're missing something on the application, to let you know. And obviously, they're all working virtually too, so I think it's taking a little bit longer to get that, but I'll let you know. But again, thank you. So anybody have anything for good of the order?
I'm just gonna stick something in. I looked up the registering a domain name, depending on where you do it, seems to cost from $3 to $6 for a year.
Thank you. Anything else?
I watched a previous meeting and heard some graffiti discussion, and just wanted to say that there is some graffiti on the stairway leading to the beach on Harrison Street.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mhm. And then one more thing is last night's council meeting, for good of the order, there was some discussion regarding Pacific Power coming in and severely trimming trees. And I believe that the city manager was going to be looking into how that occurs, whether there's a property owner that calls Pacific Power specifically, whether the city is notified, and just how that process develops. And I think they were going to be in touch with a lady from Pacific Power in hopes of maybe not the trees being so severely cut when they are close to power lines.
So I too listened to the meeting and Bruce, do you have an update on? I mean, that was just last night, but
Yeah, no, Karen has already, at the beginning of this meeting, Karen started a call with Pacific Power.
Yep.
Yeah.
They've been contacted. We're just waiting.
yeah.
Phone call back.
Yeah, I was very disappointed to hear about it, but was pleased with the approach that the city is taking, and we'll keep everyone informed, because that's obviously, we are the tree board, the Parks Committee is the tree board, so.
Yeah.
Keep us posted.
Mhm.
But thank you for the quick approach. And
Okay.
Anita, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Mhm. Okay, anything else for good of the order? And Anita, if you have questions about anything that happened in the meeting and, we want to get you up to speed, let me know, and I'll assist you in getting acclimated to our committee.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Barb.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you
Welcome.
very much.
Any other items for good of the order? Okay, then the meeting's adjourned. We'll